Okay. And you should be seeing my screen, which is showing a slide, the lecture evaluation workshop. And Kelly and I have some slides to go over, and they cover pretty much the entire process of what you'll need to do as a lecture faculty to participate in the evaluation program. And then there should be time at the end for questions. So our slides are pretty detailed. Hopefully, we'll answer your questions as we go. And then if you do have questions you want to put in the chat, that's fine. And hopefully, Kelly and Greg will help me monitor that and I guess interrupt as necessary, or else we wait to the end to answer those questions. Okay, so if you're here, then that probably means you've been told that you have to do an evaluation this semester, and you're not the only one. We have almost 1,000 lecture faculty participating in evaluations this semester, so that's a huge chunk of the lecture faculty. I'm going to start at the beginning. We're going to talk about some of the things that we've already done for your case and interfolio, and I'll describe that when I get to the slide. We're going to talk about the different types of evaluations that are out there. So not everyone here is doing the same kind of evaluation, and we'll do a brief overview of what those ones are. We're going to talk a little bit about the details of the evaluation process, like who's doing the evaluation, how many levels it goes through, and so on. We're going to give you some tips from our perspective on putting together your file. The letters WPAF may not be familiar to everyone. They stand for the Working Personnel Action File, and that's the formal name for your file that you're submitting to the evaluation process. We're going to show you a few places on our website where we have resources for you to complete your portfolios and to participate in the process as it moves forward this semester. We're going to talk a little bit about how to use Interfolio, what it is if you haven't done it before. Going to give you some tips about that. And if there's time, and probably as part of the question and answer, we'll get into Interfolio and try and show you a few things that you might need help with if you've already started. So before we start, let me just go through and talk about some of the language. There's some jargon that we're going to throw out during the presentation, and you'll become familiar with it during the process. I already mentioned the WPATH. Oh, I'm going to use the word case sometimes, and it's pretty much synonymous with your file or your portfolio or even your review packet, as it says here, which is the phrase that Interfolio uses. But it's basically the spot in Interfolio where you're going to be putting together all of your files that you have to add. Within your case or your review packet, there are different sections, and you'll be uploading different kinds of documents to those different sections. Later on, I'm going to give you a quick overview of the sections, but there's at least 12 sections if you're going to do a comprehensive evaluation, and 6 sections if you're going to do an abbreviated evaluation. Each section will need to have material in it before your review committees can take a look. And the some of that material will be preloaded by us, which I'm going to get to shortly. So Interfolio has a tool that allows the university to add documents to your cases, and we work with the Information Technology Division to do that. That is for your SOQ reports, for your grade distributions, for your departmental standards, if they exist, or the campus policy on lecture evaluations if your department doesn't have standards. So let me go through a few things here. It's work done by IT. FAR doesn't do it. They do it at our request, so it works kind of more on their timeline. The purpose is to help you out by preloading some of the data for you. And we try and have the API or the data upload run pretty much right after your cases are built. That's our normal practice. This semester, we're trying something different to reduce errors, and so there was a little bit of a delay. Some of you may have experienced in getting those files added to your cases. And so don't be surprised if you were working in your case already and you were adding files and then the university added some files. That's because our process was kicking in. And so the files we add should be the correct ones for you. It doesn't matter who adds them, whether you add them or we add them. They just have to be there. Um, and if they're duplicates, you can go ahead and delete the ones you don't want. Also, we haven't been using the API for very long on campus. So every once in a while, there may be a missing SOQ report, maybe the quantitative scores or the comments report. And so we just ask that after you see the upload happen, that you check that all the files are there that are supposed to be there. If there are some missing, go ahead and add them. That just makes the file complete. You may also see that the file names that are used by the API are a little, they seem a little bit arbitrary, but they're not. They actually have important information in the file name and all the key information, but some people don't like them. They want them to be more readable, and you're totally welcome to go ahead and edit those. You can also rearrange the order of the documents that we upload to suit your needs. And there's a tool, an Interfolio, a little grabby hand that you can just kind of drag the files to a new spot, and it'll move the file to the new spot, and then you can set your order. Let me give a little high-level overview of the different types of evaluations. So the evaluations apply to both full-time and part-time lecturers. They're all defined in our campus policy. And so FAR just takes the campus policy and we implement it within Interfolio. So here's some of the types you'll see. There's an annual periodic, which is a 1 year review. And we have two types. We have an abbreviated, which is 6 categories of information, and we have the comprehensive, which is at least 12 categories of information. At the end of a 3 year contract, you get a 3 year periodic evaluation. It has different names. Some people call it a year 3 of 3. And that also has two types. That has an abbreviated and a comprehensive. The abbreviated is, again, the 6 categories of information, not too much material. And the comprehensive is the whole, uh, all of the different categories that you would have to include. So it has about twice as much information. If you've been teaching on an annual contract for 6 years, then in your 6th year, you undergo a 6 year comprehensive evaluation. And this allows you to launch into 3 year contracts. So I know some of you will be on that. And the type of evaluation that you get is determined by when you started at Fullerton, the contracts that you've been given, and it's kept track of by your dean's office. So the dean's offices forward us your information, and we set up the cases in Interfolio for you. If you have questions about why you got a certain kind of evaluation, the best is for you to contact your dean's office. Now, whenever you do an evaluation, you have a certain number of semesters of material that you have to add to your case, and that time period is called the period of review. So the different periods of review have different volumes of documentation. Not surprisingly, the 6-year comprehensive is one of the longest periods of review because you'll be reviewed for the all those prior years that you were employed since your first starting semester. The 1-year evaluation is just a small number of teaching assignments, and then you have a 3-year, which is midway. So for the annual periodic, that is your 1-year evaluation. It's there's one type, which is your first evaluation you ever have at Fullerton. That happens in your second semester of employment. Some of you may have that. And you basically are going to be reviewed for just one semester's worth of material. Other people who are undergoing an annual periodic may have already been teaching for a while, and for those people, it'll be 2 semesters worth of material. So all the material I'm showing you here is going to be made available when I post the recording, but it's also already on our website. If you go to Faculty Affairs and Records and go to the part-time faculty or the full-time faculty lecture sections, you'll find this material. If you are up for a 3-year periodic evaluation, then that covers 5 semesters worth of material. And if you're up for a 6-year comprehensive, then that covers 11 semesters. So that's the longest of the different types of evaluation. And as I already said, these are posted on our website. So when you submit your file and the evaluation begins, it goes through a series of reviews. And the reviews start in your department and then move higher up to your college. So let me show you what that looks like. They're very similar for full-time lecturers and part-time lecturers. There's just only one small difference. But if you're a full-time lecturer, then no matter what type of review you're getting, it always starts with your departmental peer review committee. So those are your colleagues, other tenured professors in the department who will be taking a look and providing an evaluation. The 3 of 3, someone's posting in the chat, what is 3 of 3 abbreviated on this table? It's the 3-year periodic. So for 3-year periodic, for this table, it doesn't matter if it's abbreviated or comprehensive. Then it goes to your chair, your department chair, who will do a separate an independent evaluation. And then for all full-time lecturers, then your review will then go to your dean or to your associate dean, depending on who's doing it in your college. And they'll do another independent evaluation. And that will end the process for full-time lecturers. Very similar for the part-time lecturers. You begin with your peer review in the department. After the peers are done, then it goes to your chair. Your chair does their review. And then for 3-year evaluations and 6-year evaluations, it automatically goes to the deans. But for annual periodics, it doesn't need to go to the deans. It ends with the chair. So those are what we call the review levels or the levels of review. That takes a while. By the way, if you've had a chance to look at the timetables, you'll see that this takes a good chunk of the semester to complete. Um, and we try and set those timetables in a way that gives the departments time to do a good job on their evaluations. And there are some departments that have a lot of evaluations to do. So that's why it seems so slow for the process to enroll. Okay, so In order to get those three layers of review, we have a whole bunch of like little steps that your case has to go through. And so this table that I'm about to show you reviews all the little individual steps, and some of these will involve you. So you're going to want to be paying attention to our timetable to see when these steps kick in for you. So the first thing you're going to do after you assemble your portfolio is you're going to be submitting your file. The file is due on February 17th and it's due by 5 p.m., so close of business day. That means that in Interfolio, you've uploaded all of your documents and you have hit submit to the different sections so that all the sections have the evidence in them and now they're being forwarded to your department chair. So I believe Kelly just shared the timetable. So it has the actual dates. February 17 is the actual date for submission. The first thing that happens after you hit submit is that your department chair will look through your case to check that all the materials are there, that everything's been submitted that's supposed to be. They may, for example, notice that you're missing some SOQs for a particular class in a particular semester. And what they will do is they will contact you and they'll open up that section and they'll ask you to upload those SOQs. They may notice that there's another type of document missing and they'll do the same thing. So you'll be working with your department chair, some of you during this time period to make sure that all of the right documents are there. The review hasn't really started yet. It's just getting the case in its final state so that you can have a quality review. After the chair says, okay, everything's in there, they declare your case complete, and then they move the case to the department to review. So this is where the departmental personnel review committee or your tenured colleagues will be taking a look at all of your files and they'll be comparing what you've uploaded to your department standards or to the university standards, which are laid out in our campus policy. And we'll have a link to that later. So the departmental review step also has timelines, timeline and a timetable. It's on the timetable and it has dates when they have to start and complete that. When they've finished that and done their evaluation, you're going to get a chance to see what they said, and they're going to share with you their evaluation report. You're going to get a link through email to access it. And at that point in time, you're going to get a chance to file a rebuttal if you want to. It's not required, but you have the right to do that. And you'll have a 10-day window to file that rebuttal. You can also choose to meet with your peers to ask questions about your evaluation. If you choose, you can do one or both or neither. And we have a form that you will be using to indicate that decision during the process. Again, this is all spelled out on the timetable that Kelly shared. The chair will then also be doing an evaluation, and in their evaluation, they will again, compare your case to the departmental standards. If there are not departmental standards, they'll compare them to the university standards. And then when they're done, they'll share with you what they wrote and they'll initiate another rebuttal period so you can have a chance to rebut what the chair says. The uh, that for many cases is going to be the end of the process. Um, if you, especially since most of our cases are annual reviews, for most annual reviews, that'll be the end of the evaluation process. If you're doing a 3-year evaluation, a 6-year evaluation, or you're a full-time lecturer, then you're going to go on to these next steps. Um, so the next steps are the dean review and the dean rebuttal period, very similar to what I already described, where the dean's going to do an evaluation, make a written statement, and then they're going to share it with you. They're going to start a 10-day rebuttal period. and where you get a chance to write another statement in response if you desire. And then when that's done, then the whole file has been processed, and the dean will send it to our office, and we keep it, and it gets filed in your personnel file, and then the process is complete. So let me talk a little bit about the rebuttal period. I said that every time you get an evaluation, you get a 10-day window. So let me talk a little bit about more of the details on that. First off, the rebuttal period is conducted also inside Interfolio, just like the rest of the process. If you haven't used Interfolio yet, you'll see it at the end. And it's pretty straightforward to use. It's just a place to assemble your files and to share documents with your reviewers. So when your evaluation statement is ready, you'll get an email from Interfolio. It comes from a no reply, which of course means you can't respond to the email message, but it'll contain a link, and you can click on the link, and then that'll allow you to access the evaluation that they created. You go into Interfolio using the link, you take a look at the document, and uh, again, there's 10 days, so you have 10 days to read it, process it, reflect on it, decide what you want to do. If you like it, if it's very positive and you're fine with it, you can do nothing. If you just choose that you want to do a rebuttal, then you use a form that Faculty Affairs and Records has created. It's the rebuttal response form or the lecture rebuttal form, and I see Kelly is sharing that with people. It's also posted on our website, so it's easy to access in the sections for part-time faculty and for full-time lecture faculty. On that form, you will say whether you want to have a file a statement, and or whether you want to request a meeting. Again, you can do one or the other, both, or neither. It's totally up to you and your circumstances. If you want to file a statement, everything has to be done as one document. So you'll see on the form that at the bottom of the form, there's a space for you to put in your statement. There's no length limit for the statement, but it should address what the reviewers have said in their comments. You upload this document as part of your response. Interfolio will provide a link for you to use to do that. And then when you upload the document, then it'll go into the right place into your case so that your reviewers and the next set of reviewers can read what you wrote. We have online tutorials for how to do almost everything in Interfolio. So on this slide, when we post the slides, you'll see this link. But they're also on our website. We have a section called tutorials, and it's available right when you go to the landing page. You can see it, and it has instructions for how to do every single step of the process. As I've said repeatedly, you have 10 days to respond, to decide if you want to do a rebuttal or get a meeting. It's a hard deadline. So what that means is that we're monitoring it, or the reviewers are monitoring it. And at the end of the day, on that 10th day, if you haven't responded, then the case is automatically going to move on in the process, whether you've responded or not. So it's very important that you pay attention to that if you're deciding whether or not to file a rebuttal. And the days are calendar days, as it says here. But if the calendar day ends on a holiday or on a weekend day, or when campus is closed, then you'll get additional days so that the 10th day or the final day ends on a day when the campus is open. So you could get a little extra. Also, 5 p.m. is our deadline. So when we say a day, we mean the close of the business day. So 5 p.m. on that 10th day is the day we expect to know whether you wanted to file a rebuttal. So it's quite a process, and we have a lot of instructions and tutorials available for you. Um, I know many of you have already been working on your files because you've had your cases available. We're going to share some tips. And so since I know you're all in different places in the preparation process, they may not all apply to everyone, but assuming you hadn't started yet, these are our um, most important tips. So start early. So this is really critical. If you're doing a comprehensive evaluation and you have 12 categories of material, you don't want to wait until the week before or especially the day before everything is due to begin because it's going to take some time to assemble those different types of evidence and then you're going to have to write a narrative. And you want to make sure that your narrative is thoughtful and intelligent and addresses the standards. So it's not something you just want to do a quick first draft of and submit it. You want to submit something that's of high quality. So we recommend, starting right away. If you haven't started yet, it's February 3rd today. You still have 14 days to work on it. So get started and plan out what you're going to include and start thinking about your narrative. Another important part of this is that Interfolio can get really clogged down. Interfolio is software that's used by a lot of universities in the country. On their website, they say they have over 500 universities using it. And many of them have very similar timetables when it comes to evaluating professors and lecturers. So sometimes the system can have not just Fullerton faculty in it, using it, say, over a weekend, but it could have many universities' faculty in there working on it, and that can clog it a little bit. So definitely don't wait till the end to start uploading and reorganizing and renaming things. Try and give yourself some time so that all you're doing at the end is just kind of fine tuning. When we send out messages, sometimes you'll get messages from Interfolio. Um, Sometimes it'll come from FAR, but either way, those messages are going to go to your CSU Fullerton email inbox. That we are using your official Fullerton account. I know there'll be some of you who are teaching at multiple campuses, and you may not consider Fullerton your primary campus, but you're going to have to be checking the Fullerton email because that's where we're going to be sending our official messages. So things like uh, being notified that your evaluation from your chair is ready, you want to get that the day that the email comes because once that is shared with you, that begins that 10-day rebuttal period. So in terms of the quality of what you submit, you are a good judge of that. Faculty affairs and records, we're not really in the business of judging quality. That's more of your department and your peers. So you need to, if you have questions about, am I submitting the best piece of evidence? Should I do it this way or should I present it this way? How should I write about it in my narrative? Then you want to ask people, especially centered around your department. So that could be your chair, if you have a chair um, who will help you with that. It could be a mentor. If you're working in a department and you have someone who's worked there longer than you, they may have some good tips for you. It could be a friend who's going through the same process or recently went through the same process. All those could be very good sources for you to get advice about how to present your case. And what's not on here is you're going to want to go to the Faculty Development Center website and check out when they are offering workshops because they will also often offer workshops on how to prepare your file. And since it's a uh, peer-to-peer forum. They will give you tips on what makes a good quality portfolio. And if this is your first time doing it, then you're going to be doing a file or a WPATH every year for at least 6 years. So just put it in your calendar. You know you're going to have to do it this spring. It's going to be the same process next spring and then the following spring and so on. If you're not teaching in spring coming up, then sometimes your department will move your evaluation to fall. So also be aware of that. This will be happening until you get your 3-year appointment. And when you get 3-year appointment, most people are only evaluated every 3 years. So it'll become a lot less frequent process. So as I've stated a couple times, there's different sections in your interfolio case for the different types of material that you're going to be uploading. Uh, we have the sections uh, in several different documents that are posted on our website. When you get this, it'll be clickable and you can click on that. It'll take you to one. But when you go into your case in Interfolio, you'll also see all the different sections. The sections come from the campus policy. That's UPS 210070. UPS just stands for University Policy Statement. And the number is the number for lecture evaluations. And so we have a link to that also on our website. And that defines what the 12 or categories are, or the 6 if you're doing an abbreviated review. We recommend for ease of processing for your reviewers that when you upload documents into the different sections, that you upload them well, that you arrange them in reverse chronological order. So the newest ones are at the top. If you upload in batches, unfortunately, the upload doesn't preserve the order that you necessarily put them in when you did the upload. It might scramble them a little bit. So you're going to have to go back and use that grabby hand tool to move them around and put them in the right order. This is recommended. It's not required to do this, but your evaluators are going to be looking at quite a few cases with a lot of material. And so anything you can do to make it easier for them is going to be greatly appreciated by them. In some departments, might have a very specific way to order things. So if you have a department that has its own standards, just carefully read the standards and see if they say that certain documents need to be in a certain order. Most departments don't have this, but you're going to want to check just to make sure you're not one of those. The the last thing you're going to be doing, or that we recommend that you do, is you have to fill out something called a table of contents. And the table of contents is like a roadmap for your evaluators. Let's say you upload 100 different documents, which is a lot. If you upload 100 different documents to your portfolio, and they all have names, maybe some are kind of unusual names, some have numbers in the names or whatever, then it's going to be a little bit of a challenge for your reviewers to go look through all that and find out why you put that in there and why it's in the spot it's in. So the table of contents is basically a list of all those things organized and preferably with a numbering system or a lettering system to help your reviewers figure that out. When you click on this, it'll take you to a template for the table of contents. So a few other things. I already said that our goal is to try and upload your grade distributions and your SOQ reports so that you only have to do a little bit. If you do have to go find grade distributions or SOQ reports, then that's something you can do through the CSUF portal. So when you log into the CSUF portal, use your campus credentials, and you can access your SOQs and your grade distribution data. You can get copies of the reports. You can download them as PDFs. And if necessary, you can upload those into your Interfolio case where needed. We have instructions on how to do that. So the links are here on this slide. And then we also have the links on our website on the pages where they deal with lecture evaluations down at the bottom. In fact, we have a lot of links. When you go check it out, or if you've already checked it out, you'll see we try and put a lot of information down there. Most of it in terms of clickable links that take you to another place and the university website. So we have how to log in to the faculty student success dashboard. We have how to access your graded class list. And I see Kelly's already taking care of that for everyone in the chat as well. All right. So that was a lot, I know. There's actually a lot more, and it's mostly all contained on our website. We're constantly updating it. It changes every year, almost every semester. When policies change or procedures change. So here's our website. It's easy to find. If you just Google CSUF space FAR, FAR, our website will come up and you can go to it. And on the website, we have different web pages for different types of faculty. So we have a web page for full-time lecture faculty. We have a web page for part-time lecture faculty. We have a web page for faculty who are going through the RTP process. So those are your tenure track faculty. For tenured faculty, so we have a lot of different pages there. These are the two for this process. These two pages are very similar because as you've already seen, there's not a lot of difference in the review process. If you need to upload blank SOQ forms, like if your department standards require a blank form, we have those on our SOQ page. And if you need a copy of your standards, if for some reason you didn't have them in your portfolio and you need to add them to your portfolio, we have a page that has all the departmental standards for lecturer faculty. So we try to put everything in there that we can. Now here's a kind of a new thing that we started maybe a year or two ago. And this is called a files organizer. And this is for people who would prefer to organize all of their documents and their evidence on their local machine before they upload. And there's a good reason for wanting to do that because I've already pointed out how the uploading process can be slow. And also, uh, uh, if you wait till the last minute, uh, everything can you might only be just waiting to upload and move files around and so on. So you don't really want to be writing your narrative or picking and choosing your which evidence to use or renaming your files at the same time. You can do all that stuff ahead of time, like the real substance of your portfolio preparation. So what the files organizers do is if you download them to your computer or into your cloud, maybe your Dropbox folder, um, and open them up, then they will already have sections that match the sections in your Interfolio case. So it's kind of like a simulation of your Interfolio case where you can put your evidence in the right sections before you do any of the uploading. And so we have those review files organizers for, we have them for annual reviews, only comprehensive, because the abbreviated reviews um, is the easy one that doesn't take a lot of work. And then we have them for 3-year reviews, we have them for 6-year reviews. And if any of you are applying for range elevation, we have them for range elevation review too. These are all the types of reviews that have significantly more work that are required. So you download these. There's links here. We also have them on those web pages for lectures that I shared. You download them and you put them in the place where you want to use them, and then you unzip them. So on a Mac, it's easy because you just double click on it and it'll automatically unzip it. The extra step on a PC, which you can Google and figure out. And then it opens up a bunch of folders. And in the folders, you can just put in the evidence that you want to organize according to which section of your Interfolio case. Then when you're all done, you can upload the files in batches to the right sections in your Interfolio case. We've also got versions that are specific for counselor faculty and for library faculty who have slightly different organizations in their cases. So those are on the same basic web pages, or you can access them with the link that we have here. Okay, let's talk about Interfolio. So Interfolio is a product made by Elsevier, big international company that supports higher education, and many of the Cal State campuses use it. So they're a third-party vendor for us. We have a contract with them. We've been using it since 2017, I believe. It's required to use Interfolio. All lecturers being evaluated have to use it. Also, the tenured and the tenure track faculty being evaluated as well. So we actually have two Interfolio products that are relevant. We have the one that you're going to be uploading your documents to. That's called Review, Promotion, and Tenure. And we've been calling that Interfolio. So it's named for the tenure track people, but we use it also for lecturers. This is where all your materials are going to go. You can get to it through our campus portal. If you go to the campus portal, you can find Interfolio and click on that. You can also go directly there using this link. And when you, just as a quick aside, when you go there with this link, you're going to need to tell it that you're at Fullerton. So you type your location as Fullerton, and then it'll find the right version for you. We also have a second system called Dossier, and Dossier is designed to help you. And it's really for keeping track of documents for multiple years. So it's a secure storage system. It's yours. No one else at Fullerton has access to it. If you put something in Dossier, only you can see it. And so you can store materials here. You can store them for the rest of your career, and they'll just be there for you. So if you have done something astounding and you have like a paper as a result of it, or maybe you have a certificate, you upload it in a Dossier, and in theory, it'll be there forever for you to use. The Dossier system is also part of Interfolio, so you will see it and have access to it when you go into the Interfolio system. The documents that are there in Dossier are not moved into your Interfolio packets for revaluation. You'll have to download them and then upload them into your evaluation packet. So it's kind of a parallel system, but they don't necessarily work directly with each other.
Hey, Mark, is it appropriate to ask a question now?
If it's relevant, go for it.
Yeah, well, so seeing as you're talking about Interfolio,
Mhm.
um, I've tried Interfolio now with two different browsers, and I'm not able to, if I click on any of these documents, whether the ones FAR has uploaded for me or the ones that I have uploaded, I can't view any of them. They
Uh,
don't, I click on them and there's just a blank screen.
okay. Okay, so one is this may be related to an ongoing problem with the company,
Hmm.
which we learned about last week,
Yeah.
which is that for some reason the only browser that seems to work is Firefox.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the one that I haven't tried yet.
Okay, well there you go. So Kelly can correct me and Greg can correct me, but as far as I know, everyone we've told to try Firefox has had it work for them.
No, well, that's great.
Yeah. And that was we also verified that with Interfolio that they verified that Firefox would be working. They did not tell us why. They said they're gonna fix it this week so that it would be available again to the major browsers. But I would say don't wait. If you don't have Firefox, you can Google how to install it on your machine and go ahead and use it in there so you can get working on your packet. So you're going to give it a try, right?
I am trying it right now as we speak.
Okay, all right.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, okay. If it's working for you in other browsers, go ahead and just continue using it for sure. Okay, we have tutorials on Dossier uh, also available, and this link here on this slide will take you to that. Okay, Interfolio. Sometimes you might have a unique case or a special type of document that you get stuck with, and FAR is here to help you. So generally during the business hours, you can contact us. If you email us, we'll try and get back to you as soon as we can. We usually have a queue of people we're responding to. So, and we just kind of take them in order. Um, and we have basically like three of us working all the time to try and respond to those. But you can also contact Interfolio directly if you want. So here's information for contacting Interfolio. Um, as I said, we have many tutorials that were created by our office that are on the FAR lecture evaluation pages that you can access, and they'll take you through the different steps as they apply specifically to Fullerton's review process. Well, this is, normally you could use the most up-to-date Chrome, Firefox, or Safari browser. Right now, the problem for some reason is limiting most people to Firefox. We know that it already has problems in, well, I don't know if anybody uses Explorer, but Microsoft Edge. As I've stated, organize all your documents before you start to upload. That's really important. Write your narrative. Don't write your narrative, a draft, upload it, and then edit it and then upload it again. There's no reason to do multiple uploads. Just edit it, get it finalized on your local machine, and then upload it when it's all perfect and ready to go. The last thing you want to do is your table of contents. And that's simply because you don't know what to add to your table of contents until you've figured out all the evidence you want to add to your case. It's not required that you do it in this order. It's not required that you do any of our tips, just highly recommended. As I said before, you're going to want to name your documents so that they make sense to the reviewers. And if you're not sure like what to name them, I recommend asking a colleague, another lecturer in your department, or maybe your chair, or one of the full-time faculty that you become friends with. Everyone has to go through the review process, so everybody should have some idea of good ways to name their documents. When you're working in Interfolio on your case, you can click on all the things. You're not going to accidentally submit for review. You have there's a very deliberate way to submit your file. So go ahead and click open things, edit things, rename, and so on. Um, there's usually a confirmation step. If you can't accidentally delete stuff with one click, you'll have to get a confirmation first. Um, Especially when it gets to crunch time, like the week before the deadline. You don't want to do big batches of uploads because that can really slow down. In fact, it's been reported to us sometimes that people will sit there, it seems like forever, waiting for the upload to complete. So we recommend that you upload your documents in small batches. Also, it helps with the rearranging. So when the upload happens and if the system scrambles the order, it's easier to rearrange the documents in small batches than for a big giant batch. They have an Adobe PDF viewer built into Interfolio. It doesn't do much more than that. So we don't recommend that you use any of the other functions like highlighting, noting, or tagging. In your files that you upload because they're just not going to be accessible by the reviewers. And also, when the reviewers look at your documents in the built-in PDF viewer, it may affect how it looks to them. So just try and keep your documents simple. And then, just do previews of your documents when they're in Interfolio. Make sure they look the way you want them to. Um, don't be caught by surprise by having a document go through that got a little messed up by the PDF viewer in Interfolio. Just make sure you've looked at it first so that it looks correct. Okay, I'm just going to say a few introductory things about actually using Interfolio, and then I'm going to stop and open it up for questions. I know I've been talking for a long time. So 3 ways to get into Interfolio. You can go through our portal. You can go to this link, which I already shared, which is the direct connection to Interfolio. If you receive an email from Interfolio, then there will be a link in the email where you can click on it, and then it'll take you to your Interfolio account. I believe that link works for 30 days, and then after 30 days, it won't work anymore. So that's getting into there. And then the last thing I'm going to leave you with on the slides is our staff and faculty affairs and records. And each of us has a slight specialty. So Rose is usually supporting people on document requests. Nicole is our SOQ analyst. So any detailed questions on SOQs, she's the right person. Kelly and Greg are the support people for the RTP process, but also for the lecture evaluation. So you can ask them questions, and you can always reach out to me and ask me questions, or you can email us. Our emails are on the website on our contact us page. Okay, so I'm going to stop that, and I'm going to stop the recording and then go to some questions and answers or comments.